Good morning, good evening. Welcome to Blue Falcon TCG, and we're back in action. Fresh off the move into the Midwest now, and we're starting off with one of my favorite leaders from the newest set, Agent Kallus. Literally tasting the rainbow, can play any card in the game. So our turn ones, we're looking at 2 Owen, 3 Karis, 3 Night Sister, 3 Secret of Sage, and 3 Acolyte. One of them maximize on our Force early game packages, so that way our turn 3 curve is going to be either a Chopper or a Marin, or another one of our 2 cost lower villainy baddies. For our true 4 costs, we're playing 2 Chirrut, 2 Dark Tyrannus, and 3 Talzin Assassin. Those are fantastic. Now you're seeing that we're playing the Cannon Jars and the Kiadi Mundi. Since we can play anything essentially just for 1 extra, so instead of paying it for 6, we're paying it for 5. Cannon Jar is coming down as a bounce for 2 or less, and if we got the red unit on board, it's a 4 or less. It does come up quite a bit. Kiadi Mundi doesn't need any explanations. It's a Force deck. Let's draw more cards, and we're playing a mid-range control deck, so more advantage equals more spot removal. And then wrapping up the 5 costs, we have no glory in the results, no explanation needed. For the 6 cost package, we're playing 3 Underwhelming Barrage. Honestly, this can be a Craving Power instead because it's an upgrade that sticks and it can hit leaders. It's like one of the only few leader spot removals left. 3 Anakin and 3 Lost and Forgot Initiate. The rest of our bombs are basically just big things. Luke Skywalker's great. It either gives us a credit or 5 damage on a unit. Pretty good. And it's a 9/7 that could potentially come in readied. Devastator is a Devastator. The new Super Laser Blast can actually steal games. And then Bo-Katan. So let's jump into some games and see what this deck's got to do. Starting off into Chewy Yellow. This deck actually is really fast, and sometimes I feel like we don't have the best matchup. We did it at mulliganing just because I want to have a more consistent 2, 3, 4 like resource turn. Playing down our Karis. Karis is great into any of the rush aggro matchups because the -2/-2 does come up. And this deck is really cool. It's a great credit generator, especially with Chewy being able to destroy resource and then float some damage, and it being an actual powerhouse on the 4 cost flip. It's pretty good. Not so much a flip, it's a 4 cost and put in play, but with 5 power at 4, just you gotta balance it out somehow. And playing a Chirrut right on the 4 resource turn just feels so good here. And I mean, everybody who's played into like Sabine, whether it's in Eternal format or current, it just feels really nice when rush decks get stopped by a Sentinel. It's just great. Now, Ray Solid, I had to double check like what the heck they did. And I was like, where'd this damage come from? I was straight up tripping, and I was like, oh yeah, Chewy's ability. Made it quick. Let's go ahead and trade in, popping our shield with Secret of Sage. I'm trying to keep them off as many units as possible, so that way it's not a wide board, just something to deal with. This was the player's biggest misplay here. With K2SO coming into attack, on attack it does damage to a unit. What they should have done was, in order to keep K2SO, which would have been a lot better for them, they ended up floating the damage over to Karis. And I understand what they want to do. They want to try to like limit what my board state is like. But if they would have just done the damage on our Chirrut, they would just have to worry about the Karis and a Secret of Sage and no longer having a Sentinel, and then while still having the K2SO for the follow-up turn. I could have just traded the Karis, and then end result could have been the same, but it just could have put us on different kind of sequencing. That is all. Flipping in our leader here, leader ability, pay 1, play a unit without aspect penalty, and with Cannon Jars in hand, we could bounce 2 costs or less, or we can bounce a 4-cost left if we have a red or green unit on board. That's where you see that 3-cost chopper for this. It's really good synergy. The original idea for this deck was, let's make a better Spectre deck than Hurricane. And I truly do feel that Agent Kallus can make a way better Spectre deck than anything Hera is doing. Playing Akiati Mundi to draw 2 and it feels so live right here. We feel real solid. They're at 13 damage. We're at 0, but this is an aggro deck. It comes out of nowhere. With aggressive negotiations being a card, Chewie can do some stuff. Finally get our leader off. They have that. We're good. We actually can just play our cannon jars with the ability for 5, returning that. Just again, whole goal into this matchup is to try to keep their board as slim as possible. We don't need them having a wide or thick board. This Qui-Gon Jinn is actually kind of cool. Really do like the Qui-Gon and the Lando credit deck. Just feels good. Oh, we're pretty loaded up on the Anakin right now. We have heroism and definitely some villainy in the discard. Resolving the attack. Just some good, clean Star Wars. We're just going to trade into it. We don't want to waste any of our spot removal. There's nothing. I think I really wanted to save it. I had to undo. I don't know why. I only pinged 1 damage. For some reason, I thought there was 4. So we dropped the Devastator. This puts us in a really solid position. If they don't stop Devastator, we just win. On the next action's attacks. It's good. We're going to put them at the end of this phase at 17. And next attack is just puts it at 26, and that's just game. Not really having to touch any of our heroism bombs. They ambush in, we just swing Devastator to the face, that puts them at 26. Coming in, Kallus is just going to win in. We're going to move on into our next game. Next game is Jyn Erso Red, probably one of the more, favored leader combinations of this set. Honestly, it's really good. It's like Sabine mid-range, except that it requires you to trade up more or lose your rebels in order for her to actually get her ability. But looking at the top 3 cards of your deck, having that knowledge and then grabbing a card is insane. There's how many times we've been playing a game where it's like, oh, if only I had 1 more turn. This is a deck that actually gives you that ability. Like, you know what? Oh, okay. Top 3. There's a spot removal. There is that Sentinel I needed to play. Really great deck manipulation and just honestly just an all-around solid deck strategy. It can be super aggressive and in your face, but with a 5-cost leader and always trying to find those pieces, it's annoying. Now I don't know why they initially would have traded into Owen. It's just going to give me another force unit, which is okay. But the cannon jars was a good move on the Secretive Sage. However, we can just trade it in, so it doesn't really matter. Well, just keep restoring. Honestly, the card is, you either leave it on the board and it's just a constant 2 restore, and I can just spot remove your problem units, and I have a lot of restore. Or we just do shenanigans. We're going to ambush over the cannon with our Darth Tyrannus and just poke again. In terms of overall board state, it's not so in anybody's favor yet, but we do have access to that. Which here, them crashing over Dookie just to lose their spy, I think was also not the smartest move. Maybe getting rid of that 4 cost was just something they really needed to do. We're going to deploy our leader. Try and get that a little earlier. We do want to set up the cannon for the big four, the 4 cost or less drop. So probably looking at that here. Their leader also deploys this turn, so it's pretty good. But you know, they end up playing a 2 cost, so let's actually just make them go negative. They play, they get to have the search. But at the end of the day, the whole point of this deck is to control the board, put a lot of little dudes out there, swing wide, make it to our big bombs and spot removal, and it just feels real good. Now, some honorable mentions. We are looking at, like, let's call it war. It's a little bit. I'm not gonna call it better or worse in open fire, but being able, when you have initiative, being able to hit 3 and then 2 on something else does feel really good. Now we could look at the space arena, could do 3 and 2, clear out half their board. But here we're in a solid spot. We have the churro, we have the Kallus, but we're just gonna go ahead and no glory the red 5. We need them to not float damage onto cannon. We need the restore. We gotta be able to keep poking. Now, this can definitely be their game at any point. They're starting to get a lot of cards in hand. Aggressive Negotiations is a card. It is obnoxious. It steals games. I don't think it's ban worthy. It's just funny how good it is. Drawing into Anakin Chopper is just some good stuff. We're going to be able to heal if we want to. We can Anakin to clear out their leader. But we're going to just play the churro. It just feels a little bit better to stop that ground arena as much as possible. We could be playing into Lost and Forgotten here, or any other like damaging removal, but we're just going to use the Force. And there was that Aggressive Negotiations. We snuffed it out. The churro was the right call. It saved us. They didn't really need. They could have just hit with both units and made it good. But we're going to restore 2 by playing that Chopper down. Chopper coming down is a 3/4 with Raid 1. Kind of pretty good, you know, for a 3 cost 4/4, not too bad. But it's going to facilitate the Cannon Jaris or some other things. But we were playing Zeb, and Zeb does come into this. But I felt the 6 cost stuff can be a little bit more generic, such as having a 4/4 Sentinel that has 3. You know, that's where that nothing left or underwhelming barrage comes in play. This super laser, the single reaction ignition, really puts in work here in this scenario. They have a wider board. We're going to hit them. They're going to poke. They're going to lose 4 HP. And then we have them playing down the Mando. Like Aggressive Negotiation out the Mando is a guarantee, like, just rough. So we're going to end up resourcing this Anakin. That way we can have a little bit board presence. If we resource a Chopper, that would have been a little bit more of a greedier play. So we can just get rid of the Anakin. They're going to poke with the Bodhi. We're going to play Chopper and then take initiative, putting us at another Devastator win. Or they're going to swarm the board, and we're going to just super laser and get some more damage on them. Yeah, laying down that Sentinel just, it really just makes it like, I don't want to, but because we could, nothing left to fear, and clears that easy, but we do leave ourselves open for some hate. But we're just gonna go ahead and super laser break them, and then that puts us at a Devastator win for the following turn. No way they're healing, especially with paying 1. They're holding that 1 card every time. That must be like an Aggressive Negotiations or a way to just play the game more. But we're going to play Devastator and just call it here. Lake Country Boba. Now, it's mostly a troll deck. There's some sequencing in here where they definitely could have beat us just because indirect damage, bigger units is just really strong. Really debating here because I don't have a lot of space in this deck. Actually, we have 0 space, and we can reach out and touch it with Marin, other things. So we're just like, okay, how am I going to cheese into this matchup as much as possible? And floating indirect damage onto Karis feels good. You know, we get the -2/-2, but villainy indirect damage units just have thick butts. They shouldn't be that good. And at this point, if they would have put a Vader on top of that TIE fighter, that TIE bomber, we would have been cooked, been hung out to dry. And that's where this is difficult here. You know, we're going to be able to flip Agent Kallus here. We got the Cannon Jaris in hand, the red unit on board. So we're going to bounce something that's going to be fantastic. So we're going to put some damage on Marin. We're going to go use the Force and -2/-2. So we want to mitigate as much damage as possible. We just have to do that. They're going to attack with that indirect fire because it's fine. We don't need anything. We'll just put it on our units. You know, it'll go away eventually. Bouncing the one that costs less for indirect fire. I didn't want to give them another shield, but I think we're doing pretty well here. We're coming up onto their flip turn, and that's where we get that new plot card. Well, not new. It's a board wipe. The Boba board wipe now. Damage everybody, and they all take damage. It's pretty good. Now this is where I feel like Lost and Forgotten is just not as great because it just doesn't have a leader spot removal. Vanquish is gone. There's not a lot out there that just can deal with the unit except for just major board wipes. So, but dropping the Anakin, we're gonna fall short and just try and survive. Use Lost and Forgotten on the Fett Fire Spray. We got the big board wipe. We can get some pokes in. Unfortunately, we have to use the board wipe because there's just no way. The mistake was grabbing the Chirrut. Didn't need it. And then right here, this is a dangerous position. We could just claim, but we want to be able to actually hit them. Resource of Dark Tyrannus. We're gonna play the Bo-Katan, and this is where I think the mistake was made in their sequencing. They should have attacked with Fett's Fire Spray first, because I played Bo, giving them action. And then they would have been able to claim initiative with the Fett's Fire Spray, putting me at 24, and then swinging 28 for game would have been the more ideal play. Now, unless they had like aggressive negotiations or that's what they were playing for, but if they would have sequenced it in the opposite, it would have just gave them the guarantee win. But instead, we're going to have the Bo-Katan swing for game.